Life isn't fair. Jocko Willink says that's no excuse. If you want change, it starts with discipline, your discipline. No shortcuts, no handouts, just action. Stick around, because this motivational speech will challenge you to take ownership and unlock the freedom you're searching for. And you're going to fail, again and again and again. But one day you're going to win, and that's life. Without challenges, it's just existence. Don't settle for simply existing, go live. Because eventually, inaction will cost you. The default setting in your mind should be simple. I'm going to do something. When you wake up feeling overwhelmed or stuck, just move. Step toward that challenge, no matter how daunting it feels. Attack it head on. Go and do the hard thing. Struggle isn't fun, let's be real, it sucks. But it's all about how you frame it. If you want real freedom in your life, discipline is non-negotiable. Discipline is the bridge that takes you from where you are to where you want to be. Whatever challenge is in front of you, tackle it. Sometimes you'll succeed and sometimes you won't. But either way, you'll come out stronger. Each challenge is a lesson preparing you for the next. You'll face wins and losses, successes and failures, good nights and bad nights, relationships that feel like magic and others that fall apart, ideas that soar and ideas that crash, money made and money lost. These ups and downs, they're all part of it. Life isn't a smooth ride, but if you let yourself be yanked up and down emotionally by every twist and turn, it's going to drain you. Feel those emotions, really feel them, but don't let them take over. You're stronger than that. Keep pushing, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. The things that suck, they're painful, no question, but they're also where you grow. When the weight feels unbearable, remember this: I'm going forward. Not because it's easy, but because quitting isn't an option. The pain will test you. Let it. Then rise up, push through, and say to yourself, bring it on. When you talk to people who didn't make it through SEAL training, the reasons they give often sound reasonable: medical issues, family emergencies, bad luck. But the truth? The vast majority didn't make it because they quit. They don't come out and say it directly. They mask it with excuses. Excuses that temporarily make them feel better but ultimately rob them of the life they could have had. Excuses are dangerous. They can feel like a lifeline in the moment, helping you avoid the sting of failure. But here's the problem: they don't solve anything. They don't help you execute the plan, achieve the goal, or fix what's broken. They keep you exactly where you are, stuck in the same loop. And when you lean on excuses, you give away your power to change. Think about it. When something doesn't go your way, how often do you hear yourself blaming outside forces? It's your boss's fault for not recognizing your effort. It's your family's fault for not being supportive. It's the weather, bad timing, or 100 other things. But what if none of those things are the real issue? What if the issue is you? That's a tough realization to face. When you look at your job, your relationships, your finances, or your health, admitting that you're the one responsible for the problems can be brutal. It's uncomfortable. It bruises your ego. But avoiding that truth doesn't make things better. In fact, it keeps everything exactly the same. Nothing changes if you don't change. This is where extreme ownership comes in. It's the mindset that says, this is on me. My choices, my actions, or my inaction brought me here. And because it's my fault, it's my responsibility to fix it. Owning your failures isn't about wallowing in self-blame. It's about reclaiming your power. When you stop pointing fingers and start taking ownership, you put yourself back in the driver's seat. And that's where discipline comes into play. Discipline is the tool you need to move forward. It's not glamorous or flashy, but it's the foundation of everything worthwhile in life. Without discipline, you become a slave to circumstances. If you lack the discipline to exercise and eat right, your health will eventually trap you. If you lack the discipline to save money and work hard, you'll find yourself chained to debt. If you can't manage your time, your days will slip away, leaving you constantly overwhelmed. But with discipline, the opposite happens. Discipline creates freedom. When you manage your time well, you gain hours to focus on the things that matter most. When you exercise and take care of your health, you create a body that supports you instead of holding you back. When you save and invest wisely, you build financial security. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about creating the life you want. The connection between discipline and freedom might seem counterintuitive at first, but it's undeniable. Discipline gives you control. It lets you shape your day instead of being shaped by it. It lets you focus on what you can do right now, today, to build the life you want. Of course, none of this is easy. It's far simpler to sit back and let the excuses roll in. It's easier to say, I didn't get it done because the circumstances weren't right. But where does that lead? Nowhere. Excuses are comfortable, but they're also traps. Every time you use one, you're giving up a little bit of your future. Discipline, on the other hand, is hard. It requires effort, consistency, and sacrifice. But the payoff is immense. You become the kind of person who follows through, who pushes past resistance, and who keeps going even when it's tough. That's the person who succeeds, not because life is easier for them, but because they refuse to quit. When you stop making excuses and start taking ownership, something shifts. First, it might hurt. Admitting that you're responsible for your circumstances stings. But there's something freeing about it too. When you accept responsibility, you also accept the power to change. It's not up to anyone else. It's up to you. And that means you can start turning things around right now. Start small. Pick one thing in your life that isn't where you want it to be and take ownership of it. Maybe it's your health, your finances, or your relationships. Don't blame anyone else. Don't let excuses creep in. Just focus on what you can do today to make progress. Over time, those small actions add up. The discipline you build in one area starts to spill over into others. You'll find that taking ownership becomes a habit. Discipline becomes second nature. And as you keep pushing forward, you'll start to see changes not just in what you achieve, but in who you become. You'll become someone who doesn't quit, who doesn't fold under pressure. Someone who doesn't let excuses stand in the way of progress. And that's where real freedom lies. When you embrace discipline, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're creating the life you want on your terms. The road isn't easy, but it's worth it. Because every step you take, every challenge you overcome, brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. So stop letting excuses steal your future. Take ownership, embrace discipline, and watch what happens when you decide to truly live. Go out and try something hard. Maybe you'll succeed, maybe you'll fail. Either way, you'll come out stronger. That's the point, not the result, but the process. If you lack discipline, don't work hard, avoid exercise, and refuse to apply yourself, you're setting yourself up for a life of constraints. You'll feel trapped, weighed down by everything you didn't do. Imagine standing in the middle of the woods, completely lost. What's your move? Do you stand there and wait for a miracle? No, you start walking. You pick a direction and move because staying still won't solve anything. Standing there, paralyzed by indecision, is just waiting for the inevitable. Don't let yourself waste away in inaction. Take a step forward. Even if it's the wrong direction, you'll gain perspective, and that's the first step toward finding your way. We all face moments where life feels overwhelming, where the weight of everything threatens to crush us. Men, in particular, often get mixed messages about how to deal with those emotions. Some say to bury them, push them down, and never let them see the light of day. Others let their emotions run wild, allowing sadness or anger to dictate their decisions. Neither path works. You'll feel sad sometimes. You'll feel angry, frustrated, or even broken. That's okay. It's part of being human. The trick isn't to deny those feelings, but to recognize them without letting them take over. You're sad? That's fine. Acknowledge it, feel it, and then take control. Letting emotions guide your actions without restraint leads to chaos, bad decisions, and more problems down the line. If you're in the middle of an emotional storm, it's easy to think, there's something wrong with me. But let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with you. Feeling deeply doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. At the same time, blaming all your actions on emotional struggles doesn't get you anywhere either. I'm doing this because I'm sad, or I made that choice because of trauma. Sure, those experiences are real and they're tough, but they can't be your excuse for everything. At some point, you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move forward. You have control. This is your life. When you're neck deep in the problem, you can't see the way out. Everything feels chaotic and overwhelming. That's when you need to take a step back. Detach from the chaos, from the emotions swirling in your mind, from the ego whispering all the wrong things in your ear. When you step away from the mayhem, you'll start to see the solutions. You'll see the best way forward. This ability to detach is what makes great leaders stand out. They don't let their emotions or their ego cloud their judgment. They step back, assess the situation, and make decisions based on what will bring the best outcome. And you don't have to lead a team to use this skill. It works in every area of life. Balance is the key. Take any trait, whether masculine, feminine, or neutral, and push it to an extreme, and it becomes a problem. No emotions at all? That's not strength. That's detachment bordering on sociopathy. Letting your emotions dictate your every move? That's chaos. Neither extreme works. It's easy to lean into one extreme or the other because extremes require less effort. It's easier to say, I'm going to turn off my emotions completely, than to work through them. It's easier to let emotions run rampant and take over your life than to control them. But easy isn't what leads to a fulfilling life. Balance is hard. Finding it in your personal life, your career, or your relationships takes effort. It's hard to stay grounded when everything around you is pulling you in different directions. But balance is what makes you strong. It allows you to navigate life's challenges without being swept away. You don't need to aim for perfection. You need to aim for growth. You'll stumble. You'll feel overwhelmed. But if you keep working toward balance, you'll be okay. And when you focus on finding that balance, you're not just helping yourself. You're setting an example for everyone around you. It's not about winning every time or never feeling weak. It's about showing up, doing the work, and finding the strength to carry on even when things are tough. Life isn't easy, but when you commit to discipline, balance, and taking control of your choices, you'll discover that you're more capable than you ever realized. Keep moving forward no matter what. You've got this. Jocko Willink's message transformed my life. Let me share with you a story from my own journey. A few years ago, I faced a period in my life where everything seemed to be falling apart. My career felt stagnant, my health was slipping, and I was overwhelmed by a sense of failure. Every time something went wrong, I had an excuse ready. It's the company's fault for not recognizing my value. I don't have time to work out. The stress is just too much. These excuses felt comforting in the moment, but deep down, I knew they were holding me back. One day, I came across Jocko Willink's message about discipline and ownership. His words hit me hard. Your excuses will destroy you. It was like he was speaking directly to me. I realized I had been standing still, lost in the woods of my own making, waiting for something or someone to save me. But the reality was clear. No one was coming. If I wanted change, I had to move forward. That night, I sat down with a notebook and wrote out every problem I was facing. My health, my finances, my career. Next to each issue, I wrote the harsh truth. This is my fault. It stung to admit it, but at the same time, it was freeing. If I was responsible for creating the mess, then I had the power to fix it. I started small. I set my alarm 30 minutes earlier and committed to exercising, even if it was just a walk around the block. I began budgeting my finances, cutting unnecessary expenses, and setting aside savings. At work, I stopped waiting for recognition and began volunteering for challenging projects, making sure my efforts were noticed. Every step was hard, and there were plenty of moments where I wanted to quit. But each small victory made the next step a little easier. Over time, I began to see results. My health improved. My financial situation stabilized. I was finally getting recognized at work. But more than the external changes, I noticed a shift in myself. I felt stronger, more disciplined, and more in control of my life. Jocko was right. Discipline equals freedom. It's not about perfection. It's about taking ownership, embracing the struggle, and moving forward, one step at a time. And that's a lesson I'll carry with me forever. Now, you've heard it all about discipline, balance, ownership, and what it takes to move forward, no matter the odds. And now it's up to you. The choice is yours to make. Will you let excuses, emotions, or fear hold you back? Or will you take control, embrace discipline, and start carving your own path to freedom? I'm not saying it'll be easy. Jocko wouldn't tell you that either. But the hard road, the one where you face challenges, where you fall and get back up, where you strive for balance and take ownership of your life, that's the road that leads somewhere. That's the road that transforms you. This journey doesn't have to be walked alone. If this message resonates with you, if it's lit even a small fire inside, then join the community. Let's walk this path together, learning from each other and from voices like Jocko Willink's. Voices that remind us we're capable of more than we think. So here's your next step. Hit that subscribe button. Stay connected. Keep learning, growing, and leveling up. Because every bit of knowledge, every shared lesson, brings you closer to the life you want. Take action now. Subscribe and let's keep moving forward together.